What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back with another player ratings video. We travelled all the way up to Anfield this weekend. We lost 2-1. Let's get straight into the player ratings.
Yeah. First up, we got Paulo Gazzaniga. We gave him a 9. His probably best performance in the Spurs shirt, really putting a stake to the first team claim that Hugo Lloris has left open.
Yeah,
and I thought he was absolutely sensational, especially in the first half where there was a period he was making save after save after save, and he was a big factor why we were still in the game.
Yeah, moving on to Serge Aurier, we gave him a 4. I thought he actually had an alright game, Serge Aurier. Definitely better than Danny Rose on the left-hand side, that's for sure. But what really let him down is that stupid penalty he gave away that gave Liverpool the 2-1 lead. It followed an absolutely sensational challenge, and then what usually follows something sensational from Serge Aurier is something absolutely disastrous, brain fart, silly, just so stupid, you know. He has the ball, Sadio Mane comes from behind him, kind of very cleverly from Mane to put his leg in there. But, you know, Serge Aurier needs to be more aware of his surroundings, and he just wasn't, and gave away that stupid penalty, and that's why we lost 2-1.
Next up, Toby Alderweireld, we gave him an 8. I thought he was one of his better performances of the season. I thought time after time he had to repel those crosses from Trent Alexander-Arnold or from Andy Robertson, which were being bombarded into our box, especially for most of that first half. And I thought more often than not it was Toby Alderweireld who was getting in the way of them, getting his head on the ball, getting blocks in the box. And I thought it was actually a pretty good performance from him. So not too many complaints this week.
Exactly, and I've dug out Toby Alderweireld a lot this season for, you know, being one of those players that wants out and not putting a shift in, but that wasn't the case yesterday. And I think Danny Rose and Christian Eriksen really need to take a hard look at themselves and look at his performance. Which brings us on to Davinson Sanchez. We gave him an 8. He's another player that I've dug out a lot in recent times, and I think this is a much better performance against much better opposition as well, to be fair. I think he put in a commanding performance. Him and Toby worked well as a unit and didn't let much past them. And yeah, I think a great performance from Davinson.
Except for one moment, in my opinion, that throw-in which he let bounce over his head was absolutely ridiculous. Other than that, good performance. Next up, Danny Rose, we gave him a 4. Another really poor performance where he got exposed time after time in that left-back area. Defensively, he was all over the place. Offensively, he had a massive chance at 2-1 late in the game to steal to get a point, snatch a point at Anfield, blazed it over with his right foot, and his performances are getting worse and worse this season. It's a real shame that this is what it's come to, because it's a player who wanted to move to a big club at points in his career, and now he's looking a shadow of his former self, and I don't know where we go from here with Danny
Exactly.
Rose.
Would he even get in the Watford side? You know what I mean? Like, it was his fault for the first goal, completely his fault. He was getting rinsed time and time by Trent Alexander-Arnold on that left-hand side, and yeah, what more is there to say about Danny Rose? Just disgraceful performances week in, week out from him. Moving on to Harry Winks, we gave him a 5. Just not good enough from Harry Winks. After seeing Tanguy Ndombele in midweek putting a sensational performance with forward passing, direct passing, pinpoint passing, you've got Harry Winks, who has a history of going sideways and backwards, and it was kind of more of that. He got overrun in the midfield from the Liverpool midfield big time, and you know, we just need to see better performances from Harry Winks.
I think the most damning thing about Harry Winks' performance, you could say, is what a difference Ndombele came on. What made a difference when Ndombele came on, just by playing forward. That's all he had to do, and he made a massive difference all of a sudden. Harry Winks was out of his depth in this game. He was completely overrun by the Liverpool midfield, and every time he tried to keep possession, he either lost it or he would end up playing the safe pass, and he ended up being hauled off, rightly so. Next up, Moussa Sissoko, we gave him an 8, and a fantastic performance again from him. He played a massive part in that first goal in the first minute, a driving run past a few Liverpool defenders, setting up Son. Obviously went on to hit the post and Kane put it in. I thought, again, another really good performance from him. He was the only midfielder who kind of stood up to be counted in that team, the only midfielder who tried to charge us forward a bit and tried to give us a bit of intent going forward, and tried to cover as much ground as possible. And I thought it was a display which showed how much, again, he's improved in the past 18 months.
Sissoko, keep doing what you're doing, because he's the only one of the only shining consistent lights in the Spurs team at the moment.
Who would have said that 18 months ago?
Moving on to Christian Eriksen, we gave him a 3. You know what? I don't even want to say his name anymore. I'm just going to call him 23. Because, you know, this guy is an absolute disgrace at the moment. No heart, no passion. He's not showing anything at the moment, you know. no chances created, which for a player of his stature is absolutely a disgrace. Lo Celso came on the 88th minute and only made 11 less passes than him. What sort of a stat is that for someone like Christian Eriksen? I don't want to see this guy in a Tottenham shirt ever again.
Yeah, it was a real anonymous performance from him, and it was more his performance on the ball than it was off the ball. Off the ball, he did do his tracking back, but even then he did get caught out a few times. But that's not his forte, so I can understand that. But on the ball, especially in times when we tried to keep possession, we tried to have that period where we're trying to put Liverpool under pressure. Every time he got the ball, it was always to a Liverpool shirt. Every time he attempted a pass, it always got caught out very easily, and it was a weak performance from him. So disappointing from the player that we know he could be, and I'm just not sure why he was in the lineup, especially playing right wing against left back like Andy Robertson. Real bad selection from Pochettino, and we could all see it from a mile away.
Yeah, and Tottenham set up this game to play counter-attacking football pretty much, and he's the one that's supposed to be central, slotting all these balls, and we had not one chance created by this guy.
Gazaniga created more chances
than
Christian Eriksen. That's probably the most damning stat of the night. Dele Alli next up. We gave him a 5. Also an anonymous performance from him. A lot of the Sky Sports pundits went in hard on Dele Alli after the game.
Roy Keane and all that.
And I think to an extent they have a point, but he has had a lot of injuries past 12 months, so he's got to get back to his best. We've heard these rumours, he's dropping all these deals, whatever, to try and get back to his best form. I thought of late performances have improved, but in this game he was an absolute passenger. He was losing his men constantly. I felt like he didn't help out in midfield to try and stem the tide that was coming from the high press that Liverpool were bringing, and I thought going forward he offered next to nothing. It was a really disappointing display from him, and we need to see much more if he's going to become the player that we all know he can be, or come back to his performances, because it's starting to get to that period where it's like been nearly a year since he's played consistently well, so it's
maybe even more.
So where do it's hard to know where to go with Dele. He's still young, time's still on his side. He's only 23.
Yeah. But
the performances have to start picking up sooner rather than later.
I was listening to Talk Sport. I can't remember who it was, or maybe it was Roy Keane talking about it, and they were saying that, no, it was Roy Keane that said it, and they said he had so much hunger a few years ago, and once you lose that hunger, it's so hard to get it back. And it seems like that's the case with Dele Alli at the moment.
I think he probably thought he had made it. He was starting for England with Tottenham in the title challenge.
Semi-final of the World Cup.
He was scoring goal after goal. He was getting all the opportunities.
20 Premier League goals when you're a 20-year-old or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, and he was getting all these opportunities from all these brand deals and everything. Yeah. Everyone's chucking themselves at you. You probably think you're on top of the world, but if you don't keep up those standards, it can all go like that, and that's what we're seeing.
All right, moving on to Heung-min Son, we gave him a 7. It was his shot and his pressure in the first minute that led to that Harry Kane goal with the rebound. I thought Sonny was probably our best attacking outlet on the day. He did cause the Liverpool defence a bit of problems, not nearly enough as he should have done, because we were only in their half about 3 or 4 times the whole game, which was hard for him. He had that chance at the beginning of the second half to put us 2-0 up, which he really should have scored. I felt he went a bit too wide and hit the bar, but apart from that, look, it was hard for Sonny because Liverpool were pretty all over us, and all the game was pretty much played in our half. So
I agree with that, but on the other hand, I feel like Liverpool pressed so high up. It was made for someone like Son to be getting behind.
And that's where you bring in Eriksen to slot in these balls to Son.
You're right, and which I feel like we didn't exploit that enough, and I feel like everyone's to blame for that. But yeah, I think the game could have potentially turned on that chance right at the beginning of the second half when he hits the bar. If he scores that 2-0 up, I think maybe we get something out of this game.
Maybe we get a point.
Yeah, you never know. He also had that chance right at the end where if he's a bit more clinical on his left foot, maybe he could have slotted that in the corner, although it would have been a great goal if he scored it. But he, again, agree with you. Our bright attacker, it's just a shame it came to nothing in the end. And lastly, in the starting 11 anyway, Harry Kane, we gave him a 6. He did get the goal in the first minute. Nice finish, good improvised finish, harder than it looked, I think, that goal.
Definitely.
He had to stoop low for it with the header, had to react very quickly to that. But other than that, he had also had a very good chance in that first half to lay it off for Dele Alli, and he just slightly overhit the pass. And if he passes that into Dele Alli, I think that we score a second goal, and that's 2-0 in the first half. But because he slightly overhits it, the chance goes. Other than that, he was probably in the hardest position on the pitch for the way we were playing, because we were penned so far back. He absolutely had no service. Every time we lumped the ball to him, he was trying to win headers off Van Dijk and off Lovren, and seeing very little joy. He was trying to win flick-ons, but he struggled against the Liverpool defence, and I think because we struggled to have possession, because we struggled to assert ourselves on the game, he struggled to have any sort of impact apart from scoring early.
Well, my point for Son pretty much goes for Kane as well. You know, no service. The game was pretty much played in our half the whole game. Kane did work hard. You've got to give him that. He did work hard, but there was just slim pickings there, wasn't there? The one thing I would say is that the team are looking very much with a lack of leadership on the field. Harry Kane's supposed to be our captain. I think he just needs to show a bit more leadership on that pitch. And a quick mention on the substitutes, Ndombele and Lo Celso.
And Lucas as well came on.
Oh, yeah.
Ndombele, I thought, completely changed how the game was going in terms of our midfield. He was the only player in our midfield who was looking for penetrative passes, looking for little passes to actually knit things together, actually trying to get some moves together. And he actually probably created more chances than any of our other players on the pitch. He created a chance for Danny Rose, who blazed over the bar. He created a chance for Son, which I mentioned earlier, right at the end of the game, and he nearly created another chance for Son on the outside of his boot. I thought he was our most creative player. He was the only player willing to actually hold on to the ball and kind of shield off Liverpool players and draw past them, trying to break their press. He was the only player trying to do that, and I felt like it was such a difference. And the most annoying thing is that's what everyone said before the game, and that's the most annoying thing. We'll come on to Pochettino in a minute, but that's the most frustrating thing about Ndombele, is we knew that that's what he's capable of. We knew that's exactly what we needed in this game, and yet he didn't start him.
Yeah, and that brings us on to Maurizio Pochettino. We gave him a 4. I thought the way he set the team up was right, formation was right, personnel was completely wrong. Danny Rose shouldn't have been playing. Serge Aurier is a question mark because Foyth wasn't even in the squad, so I don't know if he's fit or not, or if there's any problems there, but if they are both fit, Foyth should be playing. Christian Eriksen, need I say more? We just talked about Christian Eriksen, Tanguy and Ndombele. Lo Celso came on way too late, 88th minute. What's he supposed to do? Like I said, Tanguy should have started the game, but what time did he come on, Tanguy?
He came on fairly early, 25 minutes to go.
Yeah, probably should have come on a bit earlier, seeing how the game was going.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about Pochettino. He always leaves his changes a bit too late.
He likes to see how the team's going to play out before making too many changes too early, which some people disagree with, some people think whatever.
I agree. You saw how the team was going to go first half.
I think Ndombele should come on.
We were struggling from 2 minutes in.
I think he should have come on. I agree. I think he does react actually too late most of the time. A lot of the time, at half time, he very rarely makes changes at half time. The only time I remember he did is when he took off Ndombele at half time against Brighton.
Yeah.
But he didn't start Ndombele, which was a really peculiar decision because he was exactly the type of player we needed in this game. Danny Rose, at least if we had Davis on there, you know that defensively he's going to be a lot more solid. And even if he offers a lot less going forward than Danny Rose, considering how little we went forward, it's probably better off having Davis. In defence of Pochettino, I would say that the lineup he picked was probably in anticipation of dominating the ball a bit more than we did, and I don't think the tactic.
Has he not seen Eriksen play? Has he not seen Rose play? Has he not seen all these players play? I'm
just saying the tactics that I don't think the tactics that we saw in the game of how deep we sat and just tried to defend. I don't think that's how he sets up the team. Yeah. I don't think that's how he intended to play the game. In defence of him, I would say he probably played Eriksen and Dele in the hopes that when we do have our possession to play, and then when we do, they can make the difference like we know they can. However, he should have foreseen that Eriksen's going to be tracking back a lot because of Robertson. They're going to be penned back a lot, these players, and it's not their forte to be playing in these kind of games. It's probably unfortunate that Lamela was injured late on.
Yeah.
Got a very late injury. He was in the squad because I think he would have definitely played. But having said that, Lucas was on the bench, Ndombele was on the bench, and these were easily foreseeable issues which he didn't rectify.
That every single person in the away end could see it
and
before it happened.
And as soon as the lineups came out, everyone could see that those were going to be our weak points. That was where we were going to be exposed, and it wasn't rocket science because that's exactly where we were exposed, and it's really, really frustrating. And I don't know where I'm just trying to figure out whether he's doing this to send a message to the board, or he genuinely thinks those are our best options at the moment. But it's just peculiar decision making. Why are you playing? The only reason I can think he has Ndombele on the bench is because he thinks that he's not going to last more than 60 minutes, so he might as well bring him on when the Liverpool defenders are tiring. Which, to be fair to Pochettino, Ndombele did make an impact when he came on it, and it was good. I disagree. I think if other players around him would have been better. I know, but I don't think that wasn't because of Ndombele's impact.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, to be fair, Ndombele did make an impact when Liverpool maybe were tiring, but I disagree that Ndombele shouldn't have been starting, because I do really think from the start, if we would have at least kept a bit more control in that team, and then maybe bring on Winks when we need to see out the game, that probably would have been a better option than bringing on Ndombele when we're chasing it.
All right, so that's our player ratings. Like, subscribe and comment and tell us what you thought of our player ratings. And as always,
come on you Spurs!